tradition. Schubert's Trout Quintet. I looked up the song as I was practicing this. I wanted to see what the story of the song was all about. And I found out that it was about a trout, which was... in the song, there is a dramatic middle section in which it's obvious that something rather tragic is going on. But this is entirely absent from the variation movement, so we like to think that we're playing the version in which the trout got away.
Domus is a group of 4 young musicians who perform classical music at their own portable concert hall, a geodesic dome. Having begun as a summer experiment to try and refresh the contact between player and listener in classical music concerts, the group attracted so much enthusiasm and support throughout Europe that it now devotes most of the year to the project. The first dome concert took place in 1980 on a secluded plot of land near Assisi in central Italy. Since then, the group has toured all over Europe. In England, they have performed at the Cheltenham and Piccadilly festivals, in Battersea Park and in 2 outer London parks, where, in conjunction with the GLC, they pioneered a series of concerts for this local community. The Dome, which was built by financial help from the Arts Council of Great Britain, seats 200 people and can be erected in 3 hours. As well as having a light van which transports the Dome, the group have built themselves a trailer which ingeniously converts into a stage on which a piano is permanently mounted.
All of us in Domus have been in Domus for 5 years or more. We're most of us based in London working as freelance musicians. Some have studied together at Cambridge for a few years. But the place where we really began to crystallise as a group was at the National Musicians Seminar at Prussia Cove in Cornwall. There's a wonderful music course that happens there twice a year. And it was there that we really began to play a lot of chamber music together. And during walks and meal times, we found ourselves discussing more and more the careers which we were about to enter as musicians. And we began to question actually how far we were satisfied with the options open to us as professional musicians.
Earlier this year we went to Paris to talk to the theatre director Peter Brook about our project. He was telling us that he rarely goes to a classical concert these days because he feels the sense of contact isn't there between player and audience as it should be. He sees the player coming in from one door and the audience through another door, but feels that neither is quite aware of the other and neither quite understands why they're in the concert hall. And this very much echoed our own feelings about chamber music. When you're learning an instrument and growing up, chamber music is the most fun kind of music making with your friends. And if you like it enough to want to become a full-time, lifelong chamber music player, as we all do, it's very strange to enter the profession and collide with the reality of the fact that chamber music is supposed to be the most fearsome elite, and its audience the tiniest minority of intellectual listeners, whereas we felt that it should be the friendliest, most intimate kind of music making amongst friends. And while that feeling was still fresh in our minds and before we allowed ourselves to become used to the status quo, we felt that we could and should try to do something about it. and we set about presenting concerts in a new way with the help of our own portable concert hall.
One of the big challenges for Domus is how actually to win across new audiences. There's no doubt that classical chamber music is always going to remain a minority interest, but we find that many people discover a real love for chamber music when it is freed from the associations and formalities of the ordinary concert hall. We always ask ourselves, what do we actually look like to an audience, and what can we say or do which will make it easier for them to enjoy the music, which after all is almost like a foreign language for quite a lot of people. So the presentation is a really important part of the project. We chat to the audience before and after performances, and during a performance, rather than talk about expositions and thematic material and allegros, we generally tell anecdotes about the piece, about the composer, about his life and times, and we find that that breaks the ice with an audience, provides a human context for them, and makes it much easier for them to identify with us.
The members of Domus form a piano quartet, and they specialize in the much neglected repertoire for that combination of instruments. Each program contains a blend of light and serious music, which includes, along with the piano quartets, all the permutations for those 4 instruments. The group also frequently works with guest musicians in order to expand their repertoire. They include such pieces as the Villa-Lobos Bachianos Brasileiros for soprano and 8 cellos, or Schubert's Trout Quintet, played here with Peter Buckoak as guest double bass.
The idea of presenting concerts in this informal way, it first came about really while we were on holiday in Italy. And it arose on a very practical basis because we were busking in the streets actually to pay for our meals and our rooms for the night. And we found we enjoyed doing this very much. We'd take our music and our instruments, our music stands, and we'd simply set up anywhere where there seemed to be a lot of people, and we'd start playing. And all kinds of people would just stand there and listen, and a crowd would build up. And we could see that they were really enjoying themselves, and they'd come and chat to us and ask us about ourselves and the music. And we loved this and thought, well, why can't concerts be fun in the same way? Why are we always so separated from the audience, and why is everything so straight? And we started trying to think how we could actually introduce this kind of atmosphere into a concert hall. Of course, we did have problems with wind and noise, motorcycles and so on. And so, of course, we started thinking how we could actually protect ourselves from these things while retaining the kind of atmosphere which we enjoyed so much.
came back from Italy, and we had carbon monoxide all over our instruments. Our music stands were all broken and bent. Our music was all dog-eared, and we thought, there's got to be something better than this, although we'd had some good musical experiences when it wasn't windy and when there weren't Fiat 500s running us over. And so we thought, if we build a dome, then the wind won't get in, and neither will the Fiat 500s. When I was 16, for my geometry class, I built geodesic domes. And just from the very first dome that I built, which is still in my backyard, I just loved the shape. And I thought, well, there must be something I can use this for. And it was a great thing when I finally, after 7 years, figured out how I could combine my love for domes and structure in general with music. And so there was never any question in my mind that we'd have a marquee or anything like that. It just absolutely had to be a dome. Stop you talking.
Well, I think it's just very nice to be able to walk into your local park and just sit down and listen to a concert without the hassle of having to buy a ticket and spend a lot of money on it. It's bringing music to the people, and that's what it's all about. A lot of the kids who attended the other night, who were absolutely transfixed, had never even heard classical music, and I'm sure of that. And I think it's just something that is for the people, and people should see more of it. And good luck to Domus.
And they laugh, they smile, and you're next to them as well, you can see their faces, whereas in a concert hall you're ages away.
It's a combination of ideas which I find totally fascinating, i.e. the Dome and Mozart and Brahms and classical music.
They were so alive, and if I say fresh it sounds a bit corny, but they were so alive, and it was a joy to watch them apart from listen to them.
I think the excitement was to see the faces, the contact between the faces when they were picking up from each other was quite amazing.
Well, because there are fewer Marines.